Professor Karmeshu is at the School of Computer and System Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He received his PhD from University of Waterloo and has been serving at Jawaharlal Nehru University since 1986. He has worked in the areas of mathematical modeling and computer simulation with special reference to nonlinear and stochastic systems, stochastic evolution of socio-technical and engineering systems, performance modeling of communication networks, bioinformatics, system biology, and computational neuroscience. He has served as a Dean, School of Computer and System Sciences, and has served as visiting professor at University of Waterloo, Canada, and Stuttgart University, Germany. He has received several awards and recognitions, including the prestigious Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award in Mathematical Sciences in 1993, and the C.M. Jacob Medal of the System Society of India in 1990. Please.
Okay, the topic is stochasticity and nonlinearity in modeling of social systems. Basically, if you look at the modeling has become an essential feature of all scientific inquiry, be it physical system, biological system, social systems. You take any system, it is capable of capturing the dynamics of complex behavior of a variety of systems. This origin, if you really look at the mathematical modeling, it goes back to the period of Newton. When Newtonian paradigm dominated scientific thinking for almost 3 centuries. So basically looking at the Newtonian paradigm, the systems are linear, people applied it, and it was almost like a mechanical vision. Given a large system, you can decompose it, and if you can decompose it, it is almost like a reductionist approach, and then you can superpose, and you can get. Okay, so this basically linear approach means this is a linear superposition principle. Given any system, you can break it up, and whatever you analyze it, you superpose it, and you get the answer. Then people thought that they can apply the same idea in social systems, and this became social physics. And the basic problem with this type of modeling, that given a social system, the basic issue was there is a choice of freedom. Given any individual, you can't say that it is a deterministic person and this fellow will only behave in this manner. So people rejected it, and it was beautifully explained by Max Planck. What is the difference between physical sciences and social sciences? Max Planck said that suppose there is a particle acted upon by 2 forces, F1 and F2. Then according to parallelogram of forces, it will move along the diagonal. That is physics. Now you put a hungry dog and put some food here and some food here. Dog never runs along the diagonal. So this is the basic fundamental difference between social sciences and physical sciences. The attempt to apply this Newtonian paradigm or a linear paradigm, this was criticized, and then the next stage was looking for some sort of a regularity. Is there some statistical regularity in data? That is, if I am getting a lot of data, can I organize it? That was the starting point, and like economists like Pareto, he organized the income distribution. They found that it almost fits a log normal distribution. So that was organization, statistical organization, and this was again with the development of statistical physics. So people thought that they can borrow the ideas of statistical physics and start applying to this. And so basically it can also take into account the unpredictability at the individual level, because no individual would like to be deterministic. Where is this unpredictability, stochasticity, that gives variety, and that is very, very important for all of us. So this unpredictability under appropriate normalization condition. Now there is a very powerful result in probability theory which is called central limit theorem. That if I have a large number of random variables, if I add them, if it is in additive manner and properly scaled, then you find that it tends to normal distribution. And this aspect is very, very important. But please note, I will discuss that this central limit theorem works so long as variables are independent, uncorrelated. And when you are reaching the phase transition, which I will discuss in many of my models, where you will find the breakdown of central limit theorem. But otherwise, if there is a central limit theorem, if variables are independent, Then people say like human height, there are 206 bones. You add up, if they are IID, height follows a normal distribution. Similarly, question paper marks also follow a bell-shaped distribution. There are large number of parts if you say IID. So that also follows normal distribution. Next. Now this is a mathematical statement. x1, x2, xn are independent and no variables. Zn, sigma xi minus sigma mu I by sigma I square under root. So this scaling is very important under root n. So long as you have this scaling, you find that it will tend to normal density. And that is why many mechanisms in physical sciences are additive in nature. And eventually you find central limit theorem works. The same idea people are saying BISDN networks. In communication networks also people are applying this notion of central limit theorem. Next. Now there is a very interesting distribution which is called log normal distribution. If y is a normal, then e to the power y follows a log normal distribution. And this is a typically long tail distribution. Now people are interested in this tail. And variety of systems now, people are looking at heavy tail distributions. Same thing we are finding in physical sciences. If it is a heavy tail distribution, then 1 upon f noise. This I will also mention, these are intimately connected. So this heavy tail distribution becomes very important. Now what is the mechanism for heavy tail distribution? So again, heavy tail distributions you obtain when there is a multiplicative mechanism. If you find there are large number of factors which instead of being additive, they work in a multiplicative manner, you find the distribution turns out to be log normal distribution. And this was beautifully explained by Shockley. 1957, he proved, he was analyzing the data. Some scientists publish 5 papers in their lifetime, some 10, some 20, some 100, some 200, and the maximum is Paul Erdős. He has published 1500 papers, a very renowned mathematician. So they find is a heavy tail distribution. The question was as to what was the mechanism which is responsible for this type of heavy tail. Shockley argued that in order to publish a paper, there are large number of factors. You think of a problem, work it out, identify the important result, send for publication, it comes back, revise it, and this process, if you can list about 10 factors, and if they are reasonably independent, the probability is the product of all quantities P1, P2, Pn. Now if you take logarithm, log P is sigma log Pi, by central limit theorem this follows a normal distribution, so P is log normally distributed. And we looked at all the data with the publication profile, they find it is a log normal distribution. Similarly, if you crush stone, if you look at the size distribution, that is also log normally distributed. Similarly, if you take income again you can say that making money, you have not to be smart, number of factors, you have to be crook, so many factors, and if you multiply all these factors, you will find it follows a log normal distribution. So this log normal, large number of social sciences you find log normal distribution. Similarly, internet, connections of file sizes and all those things, people are trying to, people have applied this log normal distribution. Now there is an interesting thing, which is called power law. Now a lot of stories are there about the power law. This is about the random graphs in trust. I think Dhanalakshmi Sharma was giving a lecture. So this power law, now large number of statistical distribution for large x behaves as power law. And this log normal distribution, when the variance is very large, that is if you take log fx for large sigma, this and this greater than this, then log fx behaves as this. So it is fx behaves as 1 upon x for large x. So this log normal distribution has the capability of mimicking. Similarly, people have seen, if you take the income distribution, you find that it works log normal distribution, but the tail is something which depicts a power law behavior. Like 5% of the persons make money not because of this multiplicative mechanism, but because of amplification mechanism. And this aspect was tested Elliott Montroe, who was Einstein professor at Rochester University, very interesting person. He wrote a book on social physics. So he argued that, like Beatles, made money not because of this, but it was an amplification process, and that led to the development of power law mechanism. Next. So power law is fx is x to the power minus gamma. And similarly, you have Pareto heavy tail. Interestingly, whatever Pareto did, almost more than 100 years back, these ideas people are applying now. All this internet, the World Wide Web, you are finding that this distribution, Pareto distribution, is being applied in those contexts. So these heavy tail distributions have become very important in all biological sciences. If you look at this DNA and RNA, so you find that there are heavy tail distributions which fit. Similarly, you say earthquake engineering, these heavy tail distributions which fit. Similarly, if the heart gets into fibrations, it is a heavy tail, and this heavy tail is intimately connected to 1 upon F noise. And if it is 1 upon F noise, like semiconductor noise is 1 upon F noise, heart is 1 upon F noise, physiological systems are 1 upon F noise, soil variability is 1 upon F noise. So every year in Tokyo they used to hold a conference on 1 upon F noise. You find a large number of things, you bang the door. Again, if you use spectral analysis for no frequency, you find it is 1 upon F noise. Next. So this is again a scale-free properties, which is very important. That is, if these are the power law, then it depends on the absolute scale, that is. So the ratio B upon A, that is very important. And same thing they are also find in the stock market. All stock market is essentially a power law type of behavior. If you look at the Black-Scholes model, it gives a geometric long normal process, but for large this, you have to mimic the behavior which is a power law. They are finding the tail is a power law behavior. Somehow nature chooses power law very much. Next. So now linear and non-linear. Now Newtonian equations are very general, appropriate both for linear and non-linear phenomena. Researchers generally avoided the investigation of non-linear systems and resorted to linear approximation. That was a story around 60s. So you take any non-linear system, you linearize it, and you solve the system. And whenever there was a non-linearity, it was some sort of some aberrations was there, and you can just approximate it and get the solution. So scientists dismiss non-linearity simply as annoying. Nature is relentlessly non-linear, and this was particularly last 30 years. People have realized that it is a non-linearity of the systems, which is very, very crucial for understanding, and particularly in all sorts of sciences, it is a non-linear aspects which are very, very crucial. So non-linearity introduces the possibility of systems with multiple equilibria. Now what is interesting is that linear systems are only capable of depicting a unique equilibria. But if the systems are having multiple equilibria, it is a non-linear systems which are capable of this. So non-linearity introduces a possibility of systems with multiple equilibria, bifurcation of solution, chaos, and so on. And there is a new field which has emerged now, which is called science of complexity. Center for Institute in New Mexico has started a center where there are 6 Nobel, I think Anderson is there, Kenneth Arrow is there are 3 or 4 Nobel laureates and number of scientists, and they are trying to understand the brain, they are trying to understand the stock market. So Citicorp had funded it extensively, where there are physicists, biologists, mathematicians. So study of nonlinear systems have become possible mostly due to the computing power. Again, if you go back, this nonlinear appreciation was there with Poincaré. Poincaré had idea about this nonlinearity, but the French group, I think they are very, very strong mathematicians, outstanding. So that appreciation with Poincaré was there, but things to be dismissed. So I think 1970. So next. So basically all this work, synergetics by Hermann Haken at Germany, he started the field of synergetics, that is a self-organizing system. If there are large number of particles which are interacting, the system self-organizes. It is a non-linear interaction which can give rise to this. Similarly, dissipative structures, electrogene started that system driven far from equilibrium. System can depict multiple equilibria. What Haken did, he says, given a system, when you are reaching the critical point, suddenly you find the large number of variables, say, thousands of variables at the critical point. There are very few variables which become important, and these are called order parameters. So any dynamical system, if you want to analyze in the vicinity of critical point, it is a very few parameters which become important, and those he called as order parameter. That was basically the idea of Haken, and he almost published 100 volumes Springer Verlag on synergetics. Then Ilya Prigogine got Nobel Prize for his work in thermodynamics, far from equilibrium, and these ideas he applied to cancer research, societies, and variety of, that is a very interesting book. Then René Thom, catastrophe theory, he is a field medalist who proved that given any dynamical system, there are different types of catastrophes, butterfly, this and this, chaos. So given this suddenly system, you find that as you are changing the control parameter, suddenly at the critical point system jumps from one level to another. This discontinuous jumps, that is what was interesting to social systems modelers. But given this, one can also analyze systems depicting a sudden change. So synergetic and dynamical system development, bifurcation theory, chaos theories, advanced nonlinear stochastic modeling, complexity theory, and so on. All these developments, particularly last 30 years, became so important that people got interested in social modeling. And so in US, I was seeing at MIT, many people got into physicists, electrical engineers, moved into transportation system. Suddenly they could analyze a nonlinear dynamical system which are closely related to the traffic flow modeling. Next. So now what I will do, I will take some problems, modeling innovation diffusion, then I will discuss modeling political hostility. If time permits, I can also go over and discuss competing social groups and some growth of knowledge, the Kuhnian paradigm, how knowledge grows. So what is an innovation? I think Swami is here. So innovation is an idea, practice, or object that is perceived as new by an individual or other unit of adoption. This newness of an innovation may be expressed in terms of knowledge, persuasion, or decision to adopt. So this innovation may be for a group. It might be a new idea for a group, and that we will say an innovation. It might be a whole thing, but for a group, the target group, if it is a new thing, then it is an innovation. So diffusion of innovation has been, again, diffusion is not spatial diffusion, it is temporal diffusion that given, suppose you launch a practice, suppose there is a practice, how people come to adopt it over time. So historically, market persons, sociologists call it diffusion, but physicists call it diffusion means over space. But this diffusion is temporal, by which that innovation is communicated through certain channels over time among the members of social system. Rogers has listed about 20 disciplines in which diffusion of innovation is important, geography is important, agriculture it is important. So now particularly after marketing persons, when they found that because there is a vast amount of data giving this, then one launches a product in the market, then the question is what is the growth profile of this and what is the optimal time when you will have the market, maximum market penetration, and what is the optimal time for introduction of a new product. So basically next, the story is that it is an S-shaped curve. All innovation you find a typical S-shaped curve. Initially it is slow, then it accelerates, that is somewhere there is a point of inflection, then it tapers off. That is a story for all innovation diffusion. And there is another phenomenon which I am not addressing today, that is a critical mass. Because critical, like diffusion of innovation in the context of product, say television or this will be typical like this. But if you are talking about interactive mass, for example, fax machine or email is only important if others have email access. So it is unless you reach the critical mass, something what happens in nuclear reactors, unless you reach the critical mass, nuclear fission will not become explode. So there is a notion of critical mass which we are not dealing with, but today we are only discussing S-shaped curve. And then what I will discuss, different versions of this model. If I make this parameter random variable, you find a host of new phenomenon. If I make them a stochastic process, there is another phenomenon. Simple model, which is a nonlinear model, which can give rise to different variety of things. Next. So innovation, information about the innovation, social system where the innovation is introduced. ID consists of adoption through mass media and interpersonal communication. So given the product, now what are the channels of communication? One is mass media, like television, radio, everything. You said that is a mass media, and interpersonal contact are word of mouth. A person who knows the information and who doesn't know. It is something akin to what we have in epidemics. like interaction of susceptibles and infectives. When they interact, susceptible and infective interact, through this there is a transmission of disease. And there is a time. Next. So now basically this, a person, whether a person comes in contact with the other person who has the infection, or a person who is a adopter of a technology, other person who is not, this interaction is stochastic in nature, whether you meet or not. So there is always an underlying probabilistic structure. And what we do, so mathematically one can say that n into n plus 1, the transition, it takes place n to n plus 1 in time t and t plus dt. It is alpha n minus n plus this plus 0 compared to delta t. And this is called, and there is a death. Suppose there is a loss of interest. A person who is, n is a number of spreaders, they lose interest, and it becomes n minus 1 in time t and t plus dt. It is mu and delta t, 0 compared to delta t. So mathematically it is a well-known birth and death process. But it is a simple model, looks, and this is like a order parameter system evolved because there are a large number of, capital N is the total population in the group, target group, it could be 10 to the power 6 of that order. Alpha and beta are the parameters, and it is nonlinear interaction n into n minus n. This is a nonlinear stochastic process, and because of this nonlinearity, word of mouth, no explicit solution is available. All nonlinear stochastic systems. The problem is, if I want to find out the first moment, for this n bar, I will get n square bar. If I want n square bar, I will get n cube bar. So I get an infinite hierarchy of moment equation, and how to truncate it. That is a question that you have some diffusion approximation techniques. For large n, you have some approximation. And this is the story with all nonlinear stochastic systems, and typically we have our weather forecasting system. All Navier-Stokes equations are highly nonlinear and stochastic, and that is the reason, whatever we may do, because the predictability of nonlinear stochastic systems is almost impossible. So same thing we have to do in this case. So lambda n is a birth, alpha is a mass media, beta is a interpersonal contact, mu is a loss of interest. The person who may join them adopt, and he may lose interest. For example, now recently a paper came by Aiton Muller, like service industry. Given the service industry, one can move from one services to another. So it is a loss of interest, and exactly it is the same model. It is a pure deterministic model, but we have a stochastic version. Now given dpn by dt, dpn is this is called master equation. Mathematically it is called Chapman-Kolmogorov equation. Physicists call it master equation. So P and T is the probability of n spiders at time t, lambda is the birth rate, and mu n is the death rate. If you write down this, next. So one can write down n is the total population, alpha is the transmission intensity, beta, loss of interest, deterministic analysis, let us forget all stochasticity. Then this is a simple nonlinear differential equation. Now we will depict, and then we will see, okay now, let's go back to if we say mu is 0, then this is the famous BAS model in marketing, and thousands of papers have been written on this. And I was surprised that I was visiting 95, the marketing department in Austin, Texas. I was told that out of 10 chairs, endowed chairs, 7 chairs have gone to Indians. And one is Vijay Mahajan, is chemical engineer from IIT Kanpur, one is Deepak Jain, he is Dean of Prague Business School, he is a statistician. So all these persons, so these chair professors are Indians. But somehow in our country, marketing is totally non-mathematical. I think Dr. Benvat has to answer that question. Now we will see some very interesting aspects. I think Swami is mathematical, let's explain this Swami. Alpha, beta. Now suppose there is no loss of interest, it becomes a BAS model. Another thing is, okay, that is a story of BAS model, lot of data and everything people can analyze. Now interestingly, let us look at the physics of the problem. Let us introduce a parameter omega. Alpha by beta, a measure of relative strength of the source and an individual. If you want to analyze it, if alpha is a mass media, beta is an interpersonal contact. If omega is of order 1, it means the entire source is equivalent to single individual in the population. And D is the mean number of contacts a spider makes during his active period, and beta by mu. Now we get a very interesting bifurcation, that is a threshold phenomenon, put alpha equal to 0. So there is no mass media, word of mouth and loss of interest. We find the differential equation is d by dt phi t 1 minus 1 upon d phi minus phi square. This equation in the equilibrium d phi by dt equal to 0, there has two solutions, phi equal to 0 and phi equal to 1 minus 1 upon d if you say n, 0 and now there, because this differential equation has two solutions, this and this. Now if you carry out the stability analysis, you can prove that when d is less than 1, system gets into state 0. When d is greater than 1, the system gets into this. And this next, and this is a typical bifurcation point. So long as d is less than 1, diffusion of information will not take place. Innovation will not diffuse at all. Only when you reach the critical point 1, you will find from 0 diffusion it becomes a macroscopic diffusion. So all strategies, if you want that it should diffuse, then you have to cross this particular point, d equal to 1, which is the critical point of the system. Next, now there are points of stochastic analysis, what are points of similarities and dissimilarities between deterministic model and stochastic model. But one can, interestingly, if you carry out all this, you find d less than 1, you find the probability distribution become a geometric distribution. When d is greater than 1, it becomes a quasi-Poissonian distribution. That is something akin to phase transitions. When you are reaching like water going into ice, as you are changing the temperature, suddenly you find the system goes from water to ice, and that critical point is very important. And there is a relative fluctuations also you find. You are, as you change the parameter d, you are making a transition from disordered transition to ordered state. So whenever there is a bifurcation, the fluctuations at the critical becomes so large, it is the fluctuations which drive the system where to go. So this is typically what Prigogine said. If there is a control parameter lambda, system is evolving like this. Suddenly at this critical point lambda 1, system can bifurcate and there are two possible solutions. Now which state system is going to occupy depends on the fluctuations. And if system chooses this state, you are here. If system chooses this state, or if it is a trifurcation, system could have gone. And if it goes then it can bifurcate, it can trifurcate, it can say. So if you are here, then it is, if you had occupied this path. So these fluctuations are important here, these fluctuations are important. So what they say, it is a chance and necessity. Jacques Monod said whole biological evolution is nothing but interplay of chance. Chance is here, necessity is determinism. So both determinism and chance, they are very important in the entire evolution. So stochasticity has an important role when you are close to the critical point. And once you cross the critical point, then it is all deterministic way. Next. Now next, I can discuss this innovation diffusion with multiple adoption level. Actually, as the diffusion unfolds, the parameters alpha, beta, they can also become state dependent. Now beta becomes a state dependent. Let us take delta equal to 1 is the Bass model. When delta equal to 2, it becomes a deterministic equation like this, and then we can discuss the stochastic equation. This is n by n whole square, so it is n square into n minus n is n cube. So this is a cubic equation which can have hysteresis effect. Next. Now as you are changing the parameter beta and given for a mu, you find there is only for mu equal to this, there is only one unique solution. And as you are coming here, as you are changing the parameter beta, you are on the lower branch, and suddenly when you reach C, it makes a jump from this to E, and then you are on the upper branch. In order to retrieve this from F to E, if system doesn't make a jump here, you have to go all the way up to D. And this is the hysteresis effect which we find. And if this is a hysteresis effect, then one can look at the stochastic analysis. If you look at the, one can write down the stochastic differential equation where W1, W2 are the Wiener process, but since Wiener name came also, I can tell you on the lighter side, Norbert Wiener was a great mathematician of MIT, one of the outstanding mathematicians, international mathematician. He was very absent-minded. He started the field of cybernetics. Once his wife told him that we are changing our house. So that process, all this Wiener process is all great achievement. After that, all stochastic differential equation work. So if you write down the stochastic differential equations and if you carry out the analysis next, Similarly, you can have non-linear focal plane. Next. Next. Okay. Now this is an interesting thing. When you have systems which are non-linear, they can have bimodal distribution. System has one mode here, then next mode here. System has two modes here, and this is unstable. System has one mode here. So here what we are finding, when beta parameter slightly changes, you find system goes from high probability, low adoption level, high adoption level, low probability. Here it is almost equal probability at low adoption as well as this. And this is low adoption and high adoption with high probability. So to design control policy for promoters of innovation in the form of strategies requiring parameter trajectories to remain outside or within the cusp depending on the level of adoption. So if one is interested to push it, so slightly changing the parameter, one can push into this state. So Brian Arthur says, who is at Stanford University, he says where there are multiple equilibria and a central authority favors a particular one, it can of course attempt to tilt the market towards this outcome. Timing is crucial here. There are only narrow windows in which the policy is effective. So when there is a nonlinear system, the parameters, the choice of parameters becomes very crucial, and if you want to tilt the market, then you can always force it by changing the parameter. And this, Brian Arthur, all these persons are responsible for the work which is called positive feedback economics. Entire economics theory has been developed on negative feedback. But given the positive feedback theories, you find there are multiple equilibria. Okay, then I think you can skip all this. Skip. Yeah. Now I can discuss something on domestic political. And this is currently Naxalite. And this, so this, Mahajan was ISM from Biarkada. We had developed this model way back. So domestic political conflict process. Now, several quantitative studies are available to explain the phenomenon of political conflict within nation. That is variously described as civil strike, civil collective violence, revolution. These studies emphasize the underlying explanatory variable of political conflict, but have given little attention to the study of the process. What is the conflict process, what is the underlying dynamics? That people have not addressed. Next. So Lischbach and Garg wrote a book, very famous book, Why Men Rebel. He is at the University of Chicago. So they propose a model that treats conflict essentially self-contained and self-generative. These authors do not consider how regimes and challenges interact during the process of political conflict. So now our interest is how to model the dynamics of such an interactive process. So next. So the kind of conflict that arises because a section of society, hostile group, that is the challengers. So there are two groups. One is the challengers who are challenging the authority, and there is a ruling group, that is the government. So there can be various social, economic and political factors if they threaten to jeopardize the consensus around which the system is organized. So our interest is to look at the dynamics. Next. Now what are the tangible variables, how to quantify? The tangible variables HC measures the level of hostility by the hostile group. So number of attacks, counterattacks and all those things one looks at. So one can quantify this HC. HR is the index of counteracting measures taken by the ruling group. So given a particular power structure, the regime will seek to gain recognition of the legitimacy of its position and authority when confronted. The challenger seeks to deny this claim and organize activities such as demonstration, strikes, riots at weakening the regime. Next. So now if you look at the dynamics of the government, ruling group, it is a very simple dynamics. It means if it is the government is attacked by terrorists or the challengers, it will also, and then there is a carrot, they will also fatigue, they will try to dampen this. So there is a dynamic dhr by dt equal to ERSC minus phi r HR. So the first term is retaliatory efforts made by the regime to meet the challenge. Second is fatigue effect insofar as the regime attempts to persuade or win over challenges by a policy of appeasement. This is the dynamics of linear dynamics for the ruling group. Next. Now if you look at the challengers, to start with there is some sort of a discontent deprivation parameter. They think this is what we deserve and we are not getting. So D is the starting point. DSC by dt is D. D is the measures of initial discontent. This should be ERHR, ECHR, corresponds to the exacerbating effect of the repressive action by the ruling group to subdue the hostile group. So this is action-reaction dynamics. Then next, 5CHR, it should be 5CHR, I'm sorry, it's 5CHR. It is a fatigue corresponds to inhibitory factor. Collective action regime may need to take cautious approach and the challengers may be reluctant to challenge the authority. Then this is a self-reinforcing effect. Collective violence breeds collective violence. And last is contender's cost of collective action. Now these are two linear and non-linear dynamics. Let us look at the solution. Next. So this is a next. Suppose we take n equal to 1, we find that low level of conflict will continue. But when we take n equal to 2, now the interesting dynamics is, this is a linear dynamics and this has HR square SC. So it can give a non-linearity of cubic non-linearity. In the steady state, we find there is a solution cubic and HR and SC are straight like this. And if you look at this, then next, we find that we get a hysteresis effect. System is, when D deprivation is 0, there is no hostility, system is in the equilibrium. As D increases, we are on the lower branch, OP. And as we reach the critical point, system jumps from one level to another and we come on the upper branch. Now in order to retrieve the situation, what one will do? Strategically one will say that reduce the discontent. If you start reducing the discontent, the system does not make jump here at P1. You have to grant a lot more concession in order to bring it back on the lower branch. So this is a hysteresis effect that if some people are demanding something and if you don't allow it, the system escalates and suddenly you find that it escalates and goes on the higher branch. Next, and this is a beautiful hysteresis effect. I think actually this, I can't do it properly here. So this is face of a man, 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 face of a man. This is a lady. And this is lady. So, and if we are going back, then we find the system is lady, lady, it can be lady. So it is a visual hysteresis effect. As we are moving in this direction, our perception is changing here. If we move in this direction, so that is a hysteresis effect in visual perception. Similarly, we can have higher order of nonlinearity and system can jump from one level to another. So similarly, the stochastic effects, if we look at the adiabatic elimination, then we find the system's dynamics with white noise, and if we write down the Fokker-Planck equation, then the solution is next. System has there is a consensus around which the whole system is organized, there is a unimodal distribution. As we are changing the parameter, system is getting flattened and flattened, the distribution flattened, and suddenly you find when you are reaching, because here you have no idea whether the system is going at a low hostility level or at a high hostility level. As you are changing, suddenly you find systems can get into low hostility level with this probability and you can get into this with high probability. Which state system is going to settle down, that is crucial. Only the dynamics of the system will decide and nobody can do it. So only thing is you can change the probability, but beyond that probability we have no control when we are dealing with a nonlinear stochastic system. So basically one can, because the idea is that all these nonlinear stochastic systems are important in the sense there is interplay of stochasticity and determinism. And it is this interplay which is very, very crucial in the governing dynamics of the stochasticity and the multiple equilibria, which is important in all social dynamics. And that is the reason that you find these models are, this is quadratic nonlinearity. If you go to third level of nonlinearity, if there are three coupled nonlinear differential equations, this is also mathematical result, it can lead to chaos. If it can lead to chaos, the cognitive level of comprehension is not possible. You have to resort to mathematical modeling. And all these mathematical modeling in social sciences, one should treat it as if they are giving you, providing some information or verbal discussion. It can clarify many of the verbal concepts. It is in that spirit it should be taken. Thank you very much.